Hello everybody and welcome to Meet Your Future campaign. My name's Diane and I'm part of the Education, Work and Skills team at Greater Manchester Combined Authority. I'm also joined today by my colleague Nafisa, who's behind the scenes as my co-host. For those of you who've joined us before, you might be aware that Meet Your Future was launched in April 2019 by Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester, to enable more young people like you to meet and connect with different businesses and employers to explore lots of different roles and careers. This week has been National Apprenticeship Week, and our theme for this week has been the growth sector in Greater Manchester. What does this mean? Well, throughout this week, in our Meet Your Future live virtual sessions, we've been exploring the industries, the roles and careers that are the fastest growing across Greater Manchester, and what opportunities that offers you and the workforce for the future. You'll be able to learn more about apprenticeships, what an apprenticeship is and how an apprenticeship might be the option for you after school or college, to develop the skills and knowledge required for your future career. In the session today, you're going to hear from Chris and Sarah from Electricity North West. Hopefully this session will inform you, inspire you and highlight why you can be hopeful and optimistic about your future in Greater Manchester. Please make use of the question box for any questions or thoughts you might have. You can put questions in throughout the session and ask your teacher to pop them in the box for you. Don't be shy, we'll make sure that we look at those and address them in the Q&A section at the end. If you'd like to use some captions or subtitles during the event, please select Captions, Subtitles On in your video controls. I'm now going to hand over to Chris, who's going to start off the presentation today. So it's over to you, Chris.
Hi, hello everyone. My name's Chris Havard. I'm the Apprentice Programme Manager at Electricity North West, and I've been with the business 6 years, overseeing all the apprentices that go through our programme. I'm also joined by Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I joined the business in 2020, and whilst I've been with the business, I've done my business admin apprenticeship, and since completing that, I now manage the higher level apprentices and support them throughout their programme.
Okay, the next slide, Nafisa. So, Electricity North West, and next slide, Nafisa, sorry. I think I need to describe who we are and what we do first, because many people don't actually understand who we are and what we do. You may see our vans out on the roads, you may see people digging up the roads, the pathways outside your house, the fields. You may see people at the top of pylons, up towers, on top of fixing cables. But the reality is we manage the infrastructure of the electricity network in the northwest. So that is all the way up to the Scottish borders in the north, down through the Lake Districts, down through Lancashire and across Greater Manchester to the south areas, Stockport, Buxton and Macclesfield in the south of the region. We're actually responsible, as it says on the screen there, for around 44,000 kilometres of underground cables and over 13,000 kilometres of overhead cables as well. And it's a few years since this slide was done, so it's probably many more than that now. And it's really important that we talk about keeping the lights on, and it's really important that our employees within the business are the best at what they do. And we've really started to realise that we need to invest at our grassroots levels with apprenticeships to maintain that workforce and actually increase the workforce right across the region. So really, really important. We do work in all sorts of areas, so we work across the landscape in the Lake District, and we'll work under Deansgate in Manchester and everywhere in between, in the villages, in the towns, all throughout the region. And we're really, really investing heavily in the region over the next 5 years to really, really reinforce that network. You may be aware that demand for electricity is potentially going to double between now and 2050. So that's a huge amount of work that we need to do to make sure that we deliver a reliable and responsible network really for the region. Many people will be buying electric vehicles. Many people will be using solar panels, wind farms. So the network really, really is changing drastically over the next few years. Next slide, Nafisa, please. We are one of a number of electricity distribution networks throughout the region, and customers do receive their electricity bills from suppliers who pay for the use of electricity, and a portion of this comes to us to maintain and repair that network. And as it says there, we deliver electricity to about 5.2 million customers in the region, over 2.5 million properties in the northwest, businesses, houses, industry, new estates. So when in the centre of Manchester, for example, now there's lots of new buildings going up, flats, offices, they all require electricity to be supplied. And it's really, really important that we're able to redesign the network and make sure a safe and reliable supply to those areas. So next slide, sorry, Nafisa. Going through them quite quick. Traditionally, and I'm just really trying to explain, give a bit of an idea of what we do as a business. But traditionally, power has been generated by power stations. It's been stepped up to 400,000 volts and then works its way through the transmission network, the national grid, to us at 33,000 volts, 11,000 volts. We do some work at 132,000 volts as well. But that's traditionally how it works. But things have changed quite drastically recently and will do in the future, which I'll explain on the next slide, please. And as you can see there, there is a big difference in how things are done. Yes, power is still generated at power stations. However, there's so much change. Like I mentioned earlier, many people are connecting solar panels, hydroelectric, wind generation. It's all becoming a two-way street, is the network. And therefore it requires a lot of innovation on the network, a lot of changes, which actually, and I'll talk a little bit shortly about some of our design apprentices, they're really enjoying their interaction and they're working on the network. So next slide, please. So our apprenticeships, you know, as many people know, an apprenticeship are an opportunity to earn while you learn. And many of our apprenticeships are actually 3 years long. But what we've realised within our business, we have a lot of people who are extremely experienced. They've had a lot of years. We have some people with well in excess of 30 years experience on the network, and it can be quite a technical job. So they've got all that knowledge and experience that unfortunately is soon going to disappear out of the business. And we are really, really keen to invest in our grassroots apprenticeships for the young people to come in, absorb that information from those really experienced employees before it disappears. So we want people to come in and be a sponge, be inquisitive, listen to what they've got to say and what they've got to teach them, absorb that, come with their own fresh ideas and really kick on in the business. And in the last 5 or 6 years, we've noticed a real change in how we're receiving apprentices into the business and how well they are doing post-apprenticeship as well. Next slide, please, Nafisa. So Electricity North West, we are recruiting for quite a number of apprenticeships, and we do deliver lots of apprenticeships across the business. Currently at the moment we have 66 apprentices in one or more of those subjects that you can see on the screen there. And we do apprenticeships at 2 different levels predominantly. The level 3 apprenticeships, advanced apprenticeships, equivalent to approximately A levels. And at the moment we have overhead lines apprentices, jointing, fitting, telecoms, civil technicians, business admin, vehicle maintenance, and we're also recruiting this year for arborists. So people are out there, tree surgeons, cutting back the trees to keep them away from our assets, our lines, to make sure they're not damaged. But actually, I'll just go into a little bit more detail about what each one of those involves. So our overhead lines apprentices, the men and women throughout the region who are quite visible when they're working, they'll be repairing the network. If there's a storm, they get heavily called on because there might be a tree that's fallen down and gone through one of the lines. They might be needed to maintain, repair the network, put new lines in, new cables in. So those are the guys and girls who are out there all day, every day, really important to what they're doing. Our jointing apprentices, those are the men and women who are out there every day, and they are in, you may see them at the side of the street. If there's a fault, they'll come along, they'll find the fault, they'll dig a hole, and they may need to cut the fault out and put 2 joints in and cables in. Excuse me. We have fitting apprentices throughout the region. We have about 20,000 plus substations that need, again, repairing, refurbishing, servicing. So we have apprentices throughout the region doing that as well. A lot of our network is now also connected up via telecommunications, so that's more of an IT kind of role where they're out there connecting things up, repairing them again. But again, these are jobs that you will be out there in all weathers. So if people enjoy getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go and help get a little village back on supply, or get a housing estate or a town back on supply as fast as they can, and these guys and girls really enjoy that. So they'll be working at all hours potentially. You will go on standby rotas, but predominantly you work Monday to Friday as well, but you may get called out in the middle of the night. We have a big civils team at the moment, so we have a lot of assets around the business, a lot of buildings, a lot of substations, new ones that are going to need building. So we have some civils apprentices who've just joined us as well. Across the business, we have about 2,000 employees, just over 2,000 employees, and we have a lot of back office staff who are really, really important to the business to help us maintain a smooth running of the business. So we do take on business administration apprentices. In fact, Sarah was one, and she'll explain in a short while about her journey within the business. And vehicle maintenance as well. We have a big fleet of vehicles that do lots of mileage and do need a lot of maintenance, servicing, MOTs and repair. So those are our level 3 apprenticeships. Level 3 apprenticeships most of those are predominantly a 3-year apprenticeship programme. We often get asked by our apprentices, why 3 years? Why is it so long? Actually, there is so much to learn. And we find after about 6 months, they come in and go and realise, actually, yeah, we know why it takes so long. There is really so much to learn. I think, I'll cover health and safety at this moment as well. This industry has the potential to be extremely dangerous. Working with electricity, working out and about in all weathers, driving across the region potentially can be very dangerous. However, because of the policies, the procedures, the safety training, the personal protective equipment that we have in place, and how important that we take health and safety, it is an extremely safe business and industry to work for. We are very, very cautious on health and safety. We're constantly looking at it, and actually our number 1 priority is that all our employees, no matter where you work in the business, goes home in the same condition or even better to when you started at the end of the day to your families and friends. That's our number 1 priority in the business. Our level 3 apprenticeships, I will give you a little bit of information about that. The starting salary for those are £13,000, just under £13,000. And on completion, some of the salaries can be anywhere up to sort of £35,000 plus, depending on the role, with the opportunity for our overhead lines, jointers and fitters to potentially earn overtime as well. Our level 4 apprenticeships, these are our high level apprenticeships, equivalent to sort of a first year foundation degree. And we recruit in a number of areas. The ones that are actually underlined on there are the ones we are currently recruiting for. So operational engineers. So I've talked about the work that our overhead lines people and jointing and fitting people do. The operational engineers are the ones who will maybe plan that work and go out and oversee that work to be done. So those are the roles that again are quite working external a lot, out and about, and again in all weathers. So glorious sunshine in the summer, fantastic. Middle of the night in a blizzard in the winter as well. So anywhere in between that. But they'll be out there making sure that they know where the fault is and it's dealt with correctly. Or they may be planning some new infrastructure going in as well. I talked earlier about the amount of changes that are going to be needing on the network. There's going to be a lot of redesign required. For example, if you need an EV charger fitted for an electric vehicle, actually you may need some new cabling going into your house. So that's a lot of redesign work that needs doing for that. A new estate needs putting in, a new tower block in Manchester, our office block. The design engineers will be heavily involved in ensuring that it's done correctly and we can put a safe, reliable supply to that building. So recruiting heavily for design engineers, and the ones who've joined us recently have come in with a really fresh approach to how we look at things. They're absorbing all that knowledge and experience from the experienced design engineers in the business, but actually they're coming with their own fresh ideas as well, which is great. In previous years, not this year, but in previous years, we take on planning engineers, project engineers, and also control engineers who control the network. This year, we're also recruiting for, in our IT department, we have a large IT department that sits behind all of this because everybody's connected up through laptops, mobile phones. We need to be able to look at the network, maintain it and make sure that we can see what's potentially going to go wrong, where the faults are. And we're a national infrastructure and it's really important that we protect that network. So we have an IT cybersecurity vacancy as well this year. We have a couple of apprentices in those roles at the moment who are really enjoying and flying. So really, really important. We have business analysts in the business as well. Again, another level 4 apprenticeship that is offered. And we also develop and design a lot of our own software within the business, again, to protect what we're doing, but also help us day in, day out, maintain that reliable network and ensure the health and safety of our teams on site as well. So we have software tester and software developer roles, and we also have project management as well. Previous years, we've done some degree apprenticeships as well, which have been really interesting, and we've currently got some apprentices going through quantity surveyor and senior leader degree apprenticeships. Next slide, Nafisa, please. So our apprenticeships at Electricity North West, when we run our programs, we believe it's really important that we're not just teaching people the technical side of the training. A lot of our employees, apprentices, will spend time here at our training academy learning those technical skills, and they are so important. They are really, really vital. But we also believe it's important that we'll spend the 3 years developing that person in other areas, in soft skills, in many other ways. And for us, we're finding this is having a really, really good effect. To give you some examples, here at Electricity North West, our achievement rates are 90%. So 90% of apprentices who start within our business achieve, complete and pass. And every single one in the last 6 years who has passed their apprenticeship has been offered their full-time role in the business. So we are really proud of that. And we believe it's because of this mix of excellent training from our expert trainers in the business and all the other things that we do with them. For example, once somebody's offered a position within the business, we start in September. However, a couple of months before the start date, we will bring the whole group together. So last year we had 33 apprentices come together for an afternoon of basically fun and games, getting to know each other, getting rid of those first day nerves, getting to meet some of our senior team, our directors, and we even had some current apprentices come along to talk to them about their experiences. And that's a really, really valuable thing. So when they start in September, nobody's got those first day nerves when they join the business. We do a really, really important 2-week induction on start when they start in September, covering company inductions, but also really important things like first aid at work, some of the health and safety things that we need to cover off, distributing their personal protective equipment to make sure that those people who are operational are protected and have the best PPE that money can buy. So they're provided in that first week. The second week in the business, we actually take all our apprentices to a place on Windermere called Brathay, and that is an outdoor activity centre, and it's about team building, getting people together, gelling the group as one, putting some of our purpose and principles, talking about what we expect from them as a business, getting to understand them and their personalities a little bit. And we found this works so well, and actually get the opportunity to go on 2 more of those residentials at midpoint and at the end of their apprenticeship. And we were up there last week, and we were on Lake Windermere at 8 o'clock at night, canoeing in the pouring rain and wind and wet, and it was fantastic. And the apprentices really, really enjoy things like that. Where possible, a qualification will be delivered linked to the apprenticeship. Health and safety qualification, we give all our apprentices the opportunity to do a health and safety qualification because of the importance that we put on health and safety in the business. We do an annual apprentice charity challenge, which we'll explain a little bit about in the end shortly. Safe driver training, so anybody who has to drive for the business, even if people pass the test while they're on programme, we'll put through some safe driver training. We want to make sure people are out there and we give them everything we possibly can. And then no matter what you do when you come into the business, we'll provide some additional training that's not necessarily required for the apprenticeship, but again, we think it's important. So you may learn how to use a digger, you may go on a 4x4 off-road driving course, you may go on some IT courses, and this may be away for a week at a training centre, but you'll get to meet other people from other companies and learn about certain IT software or ways of working. We also think it's really important that we develop our apprentices in other ways. And we've actually recently engaged with a financial education company who come in and really talk to our apprentices about, actually they're starting to earn money now. So things like mortgages, tax, pensions, things that often we don't think about. And we found that really, really useful, and the apprentices really enjoy coming on those because they can start to work out, actually, what does my financial future look like? We'll do any role specific training here at the Academy in Blackburn. So no matter where in the region people live, when they come into the business, they'll have a local office or a depot close to where they live. But actually role specific training is done at our training academy in Blackburn, but we'll make sure people can get here, or I put up locally in a hotel if needed. We also think it's important for people to fully understand the position in the industry. So we will take our apprentices to suppliers. So they'll get to go and see how the cables are made, and we'll take them to power stations to see how the electricity is generated. And that really gives them a sense of understanding of where we fit within the grand scheme of this industry. All our apprentices are assigned an on-site support manager and a college skills coach. So the likes of Sarah will come out and visit all our apprentices once every 2 months to make sure they're on progress, dealing with any little issues that crop up, but providing that support that you need. And all our apprentices have on-site support managers as well, who will look after them on a day-to-day basis. And many are providing mentors out in the field as to whatever they're doing. And then on completion, we think it's really, really important to celebrate success. And we have an award ceremony at the end to recognise everybody's achievements. Okay, Nafisa. Some of the benefits of our apprenticeship programme: 23 days holiday rising to 26 on completion, and rising to 30 after another 5 years within the business, and that's on top of bank holidays as well. We provide all our apprentices with branded clothing and PPE where needed. So our operational staff on day one will walk out with a big bag full of tailor-fitted PPE equipment, some of the best PPE that money can buy, and it's really, really important as a last line of defence that they have that and that it's maintained correctly. All our apprentices are provided with a mobile phone and a laptop to help them do the college work and do the coursework and the day-to-day role within the business as well. And a mobile phone as a safeguarding issue, and also to make sure we can get hold of people as and when we need to. All training costs are covered by the business. We do have an excellent pension scheme, and we have other benefits that will support the business as well. Nafisa? I'm going to pass over to Sarah and save my voice for a few minutes, but Sarah's going to talk a little bit about the residentials that we go on.
Hi, so Chris touched on the residentials earlier. So we were there last week with our apprentices that are in their final year. They were there for 2 days, did a mixture of canoeing out on the lake, gill scrambling, some high rope activities, and a lot of team building. And it's a really good chance for them all to get together, work together. The feedback that I've had from the ones that have just started in September is really great because they've learned a lot, they've become a lot more confident. Some people that have joined us have come straight from school, so they're 16, and it's such a wide age range from 16 up to mid-30s, so it's really nice seeing everybody work together. And the feedback that we get is great because they keep in contact even though they're working at different depots in different areas and doing completely different jobs. So jointing to design engineers, they're still in regular contact, they're talking about the work they do, how it affects the work that other people are doing. And they've just built really good relationships from those first 3 days that they've been together in September, working on different activities as a team. So it's a really good team building exercise for them.
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, it is a fantastic event, and for us it just works. It really gels that team at day one, and then they look forward to the one at midpoint and the one at the end. And as you can see on there, we talk about our company's purpose and principles and really try and embed those within our apprentices. So making sure we're switched on, making sure they're adaptable, and we do everything with pride, and we believe that if our apprentices can engage with those throughout their apprenticeship, actually they will achieve and they will get where they want to be and where they need to be. Next slide, Nafisa. And this is just an example of our apprentice challenge that we do every year. And in 2021, myself, Sarah, and about 20 apprentices did a 400-kilometre bike ride around all our depots in the northwest. So we started off in Carlisle and then worked our way down the region all the way through Manchester and finished at Salford and our depot there on the Friday. And actually, it was a fantastic week, and we believe here at Electricity North West it's important that we engage with the communities in which we work. We want to support them as much as we can, and it was great to get out there, speak to people on the ride, because they recognised some of the branding and they were talking to us. People were even handing us money as we were going throughout the Lake District to donate, and in the end we actually raised over £12,500 for a couple of important charities in the region that we felt it important to support. And a kickback from the programme was getting all the apprentices again together from different groups at this time as well. So we had people from IT, from design, from operational roles, from all over the business coming together for one goal, and it was a fantastic week, and we just signed up to do that again this year. So whenever our apprentices come into the business, we do give them the opportunity to do those things, and I think that's an example of just how we come together as a group, how we're not only developing people in the technical arena, but actually, you know, to give back to the communities, to really get engaged with what we're trying to do as a wider business as well. Okay, Nafisa. So I think coming to a close, I'd just like to say, you know, apprenticeships for us as a business really work. They're a great opportunity to earn while you learn. There's some amazing opportunities out there, not just for us, for other businesses as well. And if anybody would like to consider Electricity North West, we are, as of today, on the 10th of February, we are currently advertising for a number of vacancies throughout the region on the Electricity North West careers web page. So I would just encourage people to go there and have a look and see what's on there. There's videos on there. There's more about being an apprentice here, what apprenticeships are. I think I'd just like to sort of finish this section and just ask Sarah just for a minute or two just to talk about her journey, because as I said, Sarah was an apprentice and now manages them. So
yeah, so I joined the business in 2020. I didn't join as an apprentice, but whilst I've been here, the opportunity to do an apprenticeship came up, which I jumped at. It was quite daunting to begin with because I hadn't been in education for quite some time. But with the support from the apprenticeship team, I really enjoyed it, and it was really great to be learning again. And quite a lot of the work that I did for my apprenticeship included working with the apprenticeship team, which made me so keen to continue to work with them. So when the opportunity came up to work with them full time, I jumped at that because I'm so keen for it. It's such a good opportunity to do, to be working and learning. It's just fantastic, and the options it gives you is brilliant. So I definitely recommend thinking about an apprenticeship.
okay. So thanks for listening. I don't know if everybody's got any questions or if they've come through.
Thanks so much, Chris and Sarah. Yeah, we have got a few questions through, which I'll come to in a second. I think the 90% success rate is fantastic, and I think what a standout point for me in that was the wealth of different roles there are that you perhaps don't automatically think about. Yeah. That's something that's been a big surprise to me. So we have got a couple of questions, if you wouldn't mind answering them. I'm going to start with the ones that are around specifically around the apprenticeships first. Yeah. You did mention September as a start date for a couple of them. We've had somebody ask, is that the same start date for all the apprenticeships? Does it tend to be a September start date? Because I know some of them you'd underlined and not. Does it change for different ones?
So the ones underlined on that slide were the ones that we're currently advertising for. I should have explained that, apologies. Yeah, we tend to do one intake a year because what we feel, bringing one group of people together at the same time just has that real knock-on effect of supporting people throughout it. So the residentials, the induction, that group of 30 or 40 apprentices will come together and get to really know each other for the 2 or 3 year programme. So yes, September is our start date for all our apprenticeships at the moment.
Brilliant. And do you have a particular place where you might advertise them?
At the moment, they're advertised on Indeed, but they're also advertised on our Electricity North West webpage. So if somebody just Googles ENW careers apprenticeships, it will take you straight to our page. It'll probably be the first thing that pops up on Google, and it will take you straight to it.
Fantastic. And then we've got a question that we've got here, an important question really. Is Electricity North West an equal opportunities employer, and are there opportunities for young people with additional needs?
Absolutely, not an issue at all. We have a number of people within the business with additional needs at the moment, and we treat everybody as an individual. So yeah, absolutely, we are keen to support that.
That's great. And just one final question. If you were for some of the people watching and wanted to apply for one of the apprenticeships, do you have any recommendations of how they might build skills, and what skills are you looking for them to try and develop?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting. I've worked in apprenticeships for 25 years, so I think what I've recognised is that when we are looking at application forms, looking and speaking to individuals at assessment centres and interviews, we are really looking for what else does that person do. Qualifications absolutely are important. Don't get me wrong, they are absolutely critical. But what we find is a lot of people have the same qualifications. So what is going to make you stand out from everybody else? So we look at that person's sort of characteristics and behaviours, and what do they do in their spare time? So I've seen so many people and the CV is very limited, but when you actually talk to them, they may have done some charity work, they might have done some volunteering work, they might have done a 10k run, they might get up at 5 o'clock every morning to go and clean the horse out. That shows drive, determination, and just doing a little bit of something different. I remember once speaking to a young man, and he was about 21 at the time, and he had a black belt in karate, and that he didn't have that on his CV. But for me as an employer, that would really show somebody who's committed to something that they were passionate about. So we want to hear about anything like that. NCS card, Duke of Edinburgh, as I say, part-time jobs. We do hear a lot. I enjoy gaming. Yep, I understand that. But what else do you do? Do you play a team sport? So if somebody's thinking in future years about becoming an apprentice, maybe 14, 15, actually think about what else you're going to be able to demonstrate to that employer. I've even had one young man recently bring a toolbox with loads of tools that he'd made himself at a Saturday morning club. He was so proud of it, and you could just see the passion that he had for something. So it's just a little bit of something different that we're really looking for.
That's brilliant, and I think that's very impressive, making your own tools. So good on him. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris and Sarah, for talking today. It's been I've learned an awful lot, and I'm sure the young people listening have. So thank you so much for giving us your time today. Thank you everybody for joining us as well today. We hope you found the session useful. You can keep up to date with all things Meet Your Future at GMAX, and there'll be a link on the screen and in the Q&A box shortly. GMAX is your Greater Manchester Apprenticeship and Careers Service platform, where you can find out lots more about careers, apprenticeships and opportunities open to you. Many of you will already be using this. Please speak to your teachers if you want to find out a little bit more. You'll see on the slide now there's a Q&R code for feedback, and we'd love you to feedback on the session if you're allowed to scan the Q&R code in your class. If you can't, please don't worry, we're going to send out a feedback form to your teachers to complete next week, and there'll also be one for your teachers to complete too. Feedback's so important to us so that we can make sure Meet Your Future sessions are helpful for you and we can improve them in the future. Thank you again to our speakers today, Chris and Sarah, and thank you for everybody for joining us today, and I hope you have a great afternoon.